Hey guys, welcome back to the episode 2 of tearing down this Honda 450L. So if you didn't watch the first video, go check it out. It's basically us starting to break this thing down, take off the suspension, get off the swing arm. As I mentioned in the video before, I actually have another swing arm, so I won't need to be cutting off these tabs. Makes it a little more simple for getting this thing blocked out. But I mentioned that I'm going to be framing this thing, so I have a lot of work ahead of me. Typically, it wouldn't be that much work with a 450, but with the L, with all the extra add-ons like the lights and the running lights and the blinkers and all that fun stuff, there is a lot of wiring, a lot of parts, and I want to be kind of meticulous about it and really take my time with it. So today, I think what I'm gonna do is start taking this subframe off. I also want to take off the whole front light, number plate, and as you can see, I have a bunch of stuff behind that number plate. Again, I gotta kind of take my time with it and really make sure that I remember where all the wiring goes and make sure that I'm putting it back together as good as it was originally put together. I think most of the wiring harness should disconnect from this point forward and let the subframe come off. We'll get into it and see what this is gonna entail. The first thing that I'm gonna start taking off is going to be the battery, because since we're working with some electronics here, I don't want anything to short out. Obviously, it's a lot safer if I just disconnect that thing and kind of get it out of the way for now. I'm gonna throw it on the tender too so it doesn't die while we're working on it. So I just disconnected both terminals. I'm just gonna kind of stuff these things to the side so they don't touch anything, and pop out this little rubber securing thing and just get this battery out of here. Okay, so it looks like a lot of the wiring is pretty hidden by the fuel tank. So I guess the next thing I'm gonna do in order to get the subframe off, I'm gonna take off the fuel tank and see kind of where the wiring's all routed, and I don't wanna start just unplugging things for no reason, even though I'll eventually get to, what is being unplugged. I kind of wanna just trace my steps and be able to see exactly which wiring goes where. So yeah, I'm gonna take this fuel tank off and then see what's underneath there. Once again, some more crazy, I don't know, aspects about this bike. Okay, so look at this. This fuel, obviously the breather line, but I'm assuming if you overfuel, it'll go through the breather line, or maybe if you tip over. I just disconnected this, but that goes all the way down and traces back down to this catch can back here, and it's all connected. I don't know, connected to this catch can. And I don't know what goes on in here, but this has a breather of its own, and then, oh, I guess there's a dump line right here. But I guess this is for smog or something, I'm not sure. Again, that's like something that's kind of, I don't know, you wouldn't see that obviously on a dirt bike. It just goes out the breather line into the steer stem and then just bleeds onto your front fender or whatever, like typical dirt bike. Again, just like something that's kind of crazy about these L's, like they literally thought of everything, like, okay, if somebody tips over, or if it overfills or whatever, the gas has to go somewhere. And it's just something that like you do not see on a dirt bike or on a motorcycle or something like that. I don't know, maybe you do, but I've never seen it on a dirt bike, so it's so foreign to me. Just another kind of crazy thing that Honda did on this bike. So anyways, we're just gonna continue to take this thing apart. The fuel tank is loose now. I'm just gonna keep tinkering and keep trying to remember exactly how I'm taking this thing apart, so when I go to put it back together, I will be able to put it back together properly. Okay, so the tank is off. Obviously, we got the plug that runs the gas to the fuel injection, and then I'm assuming that this is a gas gauge, or maybe a low fuel indicator or something like that. But tank's off. Look at all that tie. I think sweet. And then obviously they put the plastic on here to cover up the tie and protect it, but then they leave a little bit of a sliver there so you can see and know that it's tie, because it's really pretty and badass. But yeah, we're gonna continue working on this thing. So you can see what I was talking about, all the wiring kind of runs underneath the tank. And oh, by the way, typical with working on dirt bikes, on cars or anything, you're always gonna cut yourself. So that's awesome and rad to know that I have completed that. But yeah, just I'm gonna kind of unplug some stuff and kind of check it out and see where it goes. See how all this wiring is ran. My original plan, which I'm not sticking to, unfortunately, because nothing ever goes to plan, was to kind of go through this wiring harness. By the way, you can see things have changed since I last updated you. But my original plan was to, you know, disconnect the air boot, disconnect the wiring harness back, and then take off the subframe. But unfortunately, there's no connection here. There are some down here, but essentially what I'm gonna have to do is basically remember where all this wiring goes. It was kind of fed through the back fender and into the tail light and stuff. And then everything forward, fans and a bunch of parameters for making this thing start and make sure it doesn't start when it's not healthy to. I'm basically gonna have to completely like take the wiring harness back and feed it through the front of the subframe, feed it through the back and up into here, or through the front and up into there. But I've narrowed it down and now finally just have this one last plug right here to unplug, and then this whole thing will come undone. So thought I'd update you before I completely disconnect the subframe, but let's get right into it. Now that I got the subframe off, which I need to plug up the air boot so no dust gets in there, I want to kind of leave this wiring harness alone for now. I do want to take some pictures and kind of diagram exactly how it is all laid in there and make sure that I get it back in, especially in this middle section. So this part was pretty easy. It was pretty much just kind of fed through there and then into the back fender, but obviously the ECU is clipped onto the front of the subframe. But all this stuff, I really want to make sure I get this all nice and tidy and back exactly how it went when I took it off. But I do want to start from the front now and kind of start making my way, see what's behind this number plate, kind of check out what's going on behind there and unplug what I can. And it'd be awesome if there was some kind of easy way just to kind of disconnect that from the rest of the wiring harness. But yeah, let's check that out and see what's going on behind there. Okay guys, front number plate is off. Pretty simple. Yeah, that was the plug for the headlight. Some wiring wrapped through that little circle, which unsnapped pretty easy. And then the reason you saw me grab pliers is it had like a little pin stuck in that hole. So super easy to come off so far. But as you can see, there's quite a bit going on back here. This is where the light plugged in here. That was also stuck in the back of it. Just kind of walking my way through this thing and hoping that I remember exactly how it goes back together when it's time to put this thing back together, which I'm really excited. I can't wait to show you guys what is gonna happen to this thing. Definitely gonna be sweet. I already have parts ordered. I already have suspension on its way to get all blacked out, graphics, and yeah, I don't wanna give too much away. This thing's gonna be really sweet when it's done, so I'm really excited to show you guys that. So yeah, I'm gonna keep walking my way through the wiring and see what else we can get our hands onto today. Okay, so I think the next thing I'm gonna do is start taking this off the triple clamps and then the ignition switch off triple clamps also. Off camera, I was just looking at kind of how this all goes together. It's complicated yet simple at the same time. Fortunately, all these plugs underneath this black stuff is they're all different. Like each plug is different, so I won't get those mixed up. Not that I was really concerned about that, but it won't be an issue down the road when I go to put this thing back together, remembering which plug goes where, because they're all different and kind of all have their own male, female sections that go into each other. So I'm gonna start on this thing, just like I said, walk my way through it and see if we can get some of this wiring off and some of the stuff disconnected from the triple clamps. Okay, so I've actually made some decent progress. This is the whole harness that goes up underneath the number plate. A lot of this, like these green ones are blinkers. These two right here are the clutch sensor that plugs in up here to the purse, when you pull the clutch in to start it, it fires up. So I'm kind of trying to learn where all the sensors go, and also, I mean, obviously a lot of this stuff is not going to be readable to me. It's all ignition stuff, but yeah, so basically I'm ready to take this off the clamps and the ignition key. But yeah, I'm just stoked. I got this all done up, and then I'm gonna feed this back and kind of, I don't know, just memorize how it routes back here. Disconnect it from the fan and the thermostat sensor, and a few more plugs to disconnect, but it's coming along nicely. I'm actually kind of surprised how much I'm actually getting done tonight. Without Mikey here, I didn't really want to get too far on this thing because I want him to help me build it back up to what it was, but getting kind of far. So I'm gonna wait for him to pull the motor and do a few of the other things, but yeah, let's continue on, keep plugging away. Of course, so got the, I don't even know, the speedometer and all the other indicator, whatever, light. And of course, the clutch cable runs through it. So I'm just gonna do the simple thing and disconnect the clutch cable from the clutch perch. This piece is all off. So I'm gonna move on to the ignition switch and get that thing off. It looks like it's only like 2 Allen bolts. Okay, I wasn't filming, but I got a little carried away. This is kind of crazy. I just got the whole wiring harness out. You can see the ECU. There's a bunch of plugs that I tried to document on my phone so I can see where they all go, and tried to write myself little notes here and there. Luckily, I have 2 or 3 friends with the same bike, so if I do get completely lost, I can kind of bring their bikes over as reference, which I might end up doing because it was a lot going on, a lot more than I thought that was gonna be going on. But I got it all out. You can see the bike is coming along nicely now. A lot of the wires out of the way. It's actually starting to look like a normal 450. Still obviously got these plugs that go to the harness for the blinkers, high beams, low beams, clutch sensor, so many sensors. Kind of cool though learning the bike, but you can see, I don't know if you can see that plugs for the fans, which plug into the rest of the harness and then plugs into the thermostat. It's all kinds of sensors to let the bike know what's going on so it's road safe. But definitely a sophisticated bike, and man, it's gonna be a mission putting this thing back together, but I'm pretty excited to kind of take that journey. And I think the next step will be take the motor out, obviously take the radiators off, get the steering stem out, take all the bearings out. I'm gonna need like a press, or I forget what those tools are called that press out the bearings, but yeah, definitely a big step. A lot more than I thought I was gonna get done today. I thought that I was just gonna be, you know, kind of getting the subframe off, taking little things off here and there, but did not think that I would get this wiring harness out, so I'm stoked about that. Continue the vlogs next week or later this week, kind of depends on what weather turns out, but tune in next time and we'll continue working on this thing, and hopefully I'll have some parts. I'm supposed to go pick up some parts tomorrow, so tune in, like, subscribe, all that fun, cool stuff later on. There goes a sight from my soul.